today we're going to
review the Instant Pot Vortex Plus. It is a standalone air fryer. Ever since we posted our reviews of like the Duo Crisp, which has an air fryer lid attachment, Pro Crisp, and the Duo Crisp with Ultimate Lid, we've been getting questions, emails, comments asking about, well,
which one do we prefer? Do we like a combo? I prefer having a separate standalone air fryer just because I have a large kitchen and I have plenty of room for 2 appliances. If you don't have room in your kitchen, then the combo is a great option.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Barbara.
And this is Pressure Cooking Today.
So I prefer standalone because you get a little bit larger basket.
And that makes a big difference when you're cooking up like a whole thing of French fries from like the freezer section. We use our air fryer for a lot of things, but the number one thing we use it for is making chicken nuggets and French fries for the kiddos.
And I often buy a bag of those mini fingerling potatoes at Costco, and we just quarter those and we make some roasted potatoes. So I use it a lot for that. I like to do broccoli and do roasted broccoli. Another thing I like to do with my air fryer is reheat food. So if you have leftover pizza, it's a perfect way to reheat your leftover pizza.
Going back to the French fry thing, if you have like French fries from takeout that were delicious and you want to make them yummy again, this is a magical device that will actually make your French fries hot and crispy. So yeah, when I do my leftovers, before I wouldn't even keep the fries because I'm picky. But now with the air fryer, and this applies to both, whether you have a standalone one or a pressure cooker air fryer combination like the Ninja Foodie or the Instant Pot. But this one, ultimately it comes down to it fits more. So if you see yourself using air frying as maybe a way to finish a dish, but mostly you want like a second pressure cooker or just a pressure cooker, then that might be a better way to go. But if you are going to be someone who uses their pressure cooker to just like cook rice and then see yourself using air fryer more often, maybe a standalone air fryer would be a better fit for you.
Right, so we have a pepperoni pasta recipe where we just melt cheese on top, and that is great for like a Instant Pot crisp, the Milthy pressure cooker or lid.
Crisp lid?
Crisp lid, yes. And that type of thing. So if you're finding yourself using that more often, then maybe you prefer the combo.
Yep.
This unit though has lots of features that we really love.
I definitely like the Vortex Plus over the traditional Vortex because it has a handy dandy light feature.
You see how it has that little window in there and you can check and see if it's browning without having to open it up, so that's awesome.
I tend to be someone who likes to check a lot, and so just gluing my face up against the Vortex is really nice, especially compared to when you're doing it in a pressure cooker style.
Yeah.
And you can't see.
They have oven styles, but we really like this basket style. It comes with a little
trivet.
We
call it a trivet. Is it a rack?
It's probably a rack that
a grilling rack.
Yeah, it has this little handle that helps you pick it out when you're cleaning.
When it's cool. Don't be like me and try to grab it when it's hot.
And it has the little cutouts in it, so
grooves the oil
helps
and
the air circulate.
Is that for air?
Yeah, it helps the air circulate and lets the grease and stuff drip down into the bottom of the basket.
One of the things I love is you can get packs of these online. They're just made out of parchment paper, but they are made to fit inside your air fryer basket. And so that way the grease from your chicken nuggets or French fries or potatoes will actually drip down onto the parchment paper itself, and it makes cleanup a lot easier. Should we go through the buttons?
Sure.
Okay, so you just see the logo and it's not really easy to see anything. Once you plug it in, you kind of have to wake it up by hitting these little, the little silver knob.
Yeah.
And you see the different settings: air fry, roast, bake, reheat, broil, and dehydrate. 99% of the time when I use this, I use the air fry feature. So you press air fry.
And change the temperature. I usually leave it about 350, but 375 is a good. And then you hit it again if you want to change the time. I usually just leave it on 30 minutes as kind of the default, but you can go up and down if you want it to turn off automatically.
And then when it's time to start, don't forget to hit the start button.
And it's super important to preheat the air fryers. I know you probably wouldn't just think about baking cookies and sticking the cookie dough in there without having the oven hot. It's the same with the air fryer, but the nice thing about the air fryer is it heats up super quickly. So even if you have to preheat it, it's only going to take a few minutes, and you do get a better result. I do admit to lots of times being lazy and not doing that, but you will get a better result if you let it preheat.
Yeah. All right, and you see along the bottom right here, it says preheating, and it's got 3 little bars that lets you know, like, oh, it's getting pretty close to being ready to cook. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting my things together. I'm gonna go grab my liner if I'm using one.
Just leave your chicken nuggets in the freezer until it's preheated.
Yep.
Okay, so it's preheated and now it's telling you to add the food.
So you hear the ding-a-ling, and underneath it says air frying. When you open up the thing, the basket, it says close basket, but it pauses, and it will pause there for, I don't know, like a minute or two before it will turn itself off.
Yeah, and so if I had French fries in there, I would just give them a nice shake like that and then put it right back in.
And then you notice you didn't even have to hit start or anything. It just automatically restarts itself. So if you're cooking something that's really quick, like you've got a 5-minute cook time or something, it generally will just run through. But if you're cooking something that will take a little longer, I think the first time's about 6-7 minutes in. And then periodically after, it will remind you to turn your food. It'll just beep at you. You can ignore it. You don't have to turn your food. But I generally find I get better results when I do actually flip the food, so that the stuff that was up against the bottom or against the liner goes up onto the top and everything gets crispy and delicious. Okay, so now let's move on to cleaning. It's pretty easy. The whole outer exterior you want to wash with just like a lightly damp cloth. Because I tend to cook things that are a little bit greasier in the air fryer, sometimes it'll have like grease fingerprints on it from like getting the potatoes in. And so you can use just a little tiny bit of like Dawn soap.
I love the power wash.
I was gonna just say, you are obsessed with the power wash. We're not sponsored. This is just our kitchen.
But all you have to do is spray your basket down with this, spray your tray, and let it sit for a few minutes, and that grease almost just like melts away. It's pretty awesome. I almost always use that to clean the fryer basket, and then just use a little Dawn dishwashing soap to finish it out and get all the power wash off.
Yeah, so we like this one. I have not bought this. Is that a confession? Both mom and my mother-in-law both talked about how much they like it, and we just, have a big old thing of Dawn back in our.
All right, I'm sending her home with power wash now. That's for sure.
Again, not sponsored. We promise. But I just use I'll get like a damp cloth and put a little bit of Dawn on it and rub it till it makes just a little bit of bubbles, and then wipe it. But you don't want to get the exterior super wet. It's an electronic device.
And I've had this for probably a year, and it still looks great. I just wipe it down with a little damp cloth. Yeah,
and then on the inside, we will do a similar thing. We'll get Dawn on it, and then we'll rinse it out real good. We don't want to submerge it. I don't feel comfortable submerging it at all.
Yeah, so I try to just wash the inside of that and not to get too much of it down up into here. But I do put it in my sink and rinse it out, and if a little water gets splashed up into there, I don't worry about that at all.
And I will, this is too hot to touch right now, but I will take that little inner rack out, and that one can go in the dish suds and get nice and soaked on, and get any like really crusty on. What's the right word? Stuck on food.
On food, yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty basic. We've been really happy with it.
Yeah, so I have used the oven type ones, and we like those.
Yeah.
But for basic air frying, we prefer the basket style.
We have a Breville toaster oven that also does air frying, which we love. Again, not sponsored. These are just our favorite things. And we use our toaster oven at least once a day, probably more. But when it's time to air fry, we still usually will pull out the basket one, just because it can hold so much deeper, and it's really easy to clean. You don't have to worry about like stuff falling down onto like the actual heating elements. The heating element is up inside of there, but I don't know, it stays clean a lot easier for us. So that's our big preference.
That's our review. We're going to have more information on the blog as always, and we hope that you will like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments.